How the World Was Made, narrated by Jordan A. Black. When the world grows old and worns out, the people will die and the cores will break. Let the earth sink down into the ocean, and all and all will be watered again. The Indians were afraid of this. When all was water, the animals were above and beyond the arch, but they were very much so crowded, and they were waiting more room by wondered what was below the water. At last, the little water beetle offered to go and see if it could learn. It darted in every direction over the surface of the water, but it could not find no firm place to rest. In it divided to the bottom and came up with some soft mud, which began to grow and spread on every side until it became the island which we all call the earth. It was afterwards fastened to the sky with 4 cords, but no one remembers who did this. At first the earth was flat and very soft and wet. The animals were anxious to get down, and sent out different birds to see if it was yet dry. But they found no place to align and came back. At last it seemed to be time, and sent out in the buzzard and told him to go make ready for them. This was the great buzzard. The faster the buzzard we see now, he flew all over the earth, low down near the ground, and it was still soft. When he reached into the Cherokee country, he was very tired, and his wings began to flap and strike the ground, and wherever they struck the earth, there was a valley, and where they turned up again, there was a mountain. When the animals above saw this, they were afraid that the whole world would be mountains, so they called them back, but the Cherokee country remains full of mountains to this day. When the earth was dry and the animals came down, it was still dark, so they got the sun and set it in a track to go every day across the island from east to west. Just overhead, it was too hot this way, and the red crawfish shell scored a bright red, so that his meat was spoiled, and the Cherokee do not eat it. The conjurers put the sun another hand beneath higher in the air, but it was still too hot. They raised it another time and another until it was 7 hand breadths high, just under the sky arch. Then it was right, and they left it so. This is why conjurers call the highest place the 7th height, because it is 7 hands above the earth. Every day the sun goes along under this arch and returns at night on this upper side of of the starting place. There is another world under this. This is like ours and everything, animals, plants, and people, save that seasons are different. The streams that come down from the mountains are trails by which we reach this underworld, and the springs at their heads are the doorways by which we enter. But to do this, one must fast and go to water, and have one of the underground people for a guide. We know that the seasons in the underworld are different from ours because the water in the springs is always warmer, and the water is cooler in the summer than the outer air. When the animals and the plants were first made, we do not know by whom they tried to do this, and nearly all were awake through the first night, but the next night several dropped off to sleep, and the third night others were asleep, and then others until the seventh night. Of all the animals, only the owl, the partner, and the other two more were still awake. To those given the power to see and go about in the dark, and to make prey of the birds and animals, which must sleep at night, of the trees only the pine, the spruce, the holly, and the were awake to the end, and then to them it was given to be always green, and the greatest medicine. But to the others it was said, because you have not endured the end, shall lose your hair every winter. Men came after the animals and plants. At first there was only a brother, a sister, until he struck her with a fish and told her multiply. And so it was in 7 days a child was born to her father. Every 7 days another. They were increased very fast until there was a danger at the world could not keep them. Then it was made that a woman should have only one child a year, and it has been so ever since.